Now these guys aren't very close to me, but the alligator sounds sound like they are close to me. So one thing I'm going to do is make them sound further away. In our effects palette, we have audio effects. A lot of these choices are pretty irrelevant towards what we want to do. For example, band pass makes things sound like they're an old radio. Not an effect that makes any sense. When you want things to sound like they're far away, echoes, reverb are your friends. Also, just simply lowering the volume in contrast to some of the other ambient sounds. In this case, I'm going to go ahead and add some surround reverb. So when you go into the effects and you go into the custom setup, you can see you have a lot more choices than the default reverb. Inside a cathedral doesn't make a lot of sense for these alligators or crocodiles, but something like Deep Well, open air stadium makes a lot more sense. And it definitely does make it feel like these guys are a lot further away. If you have an effect that you use on one clip, you can go ahead and copy that effect, which I've used Command C, but Control C on Windows will do. And then whatever other clips you select, you can paste that on using Command V or Control V. Then these gray boxes all of a sudden become active with that effect. So now I have my alligator sounds a little further away. Let's check out the water level. Very loud. Also a little too splish-splashy. I'm going to slow it down using speed duration in the right-click menu. I'm going to slow it down to be about 20 seconds long. I'm not going to maintain audio pitch because that's going to make this weird stretchy noise that will sound very artificial. And now I'm going to compare that sound with the alligators to see what's good. I can barely hear these alligators / crocodiles versus the water. Also, where that splash is, that's where I want this big bump on the waveform. So I'm going to shrink that audio clip until I get the big bump where I want it to be. Okay, so that makes a little more sense sonically. I am going to lower the volume of this entire track versus the alligators, and the area I'm going to do this in is the audio clip mixer. So you see up here, we have our 3 tracks, A1, A2, and A3. A1 does not have a volume control, A2 does because it's active. If I jump over to A1, so within this audio clip mixer, you'll still have your A1 track, but this is where you can raise or lower A2 and A3. A3 currently has mute on it. If I take mute off here, you can see how it's reflected over here. Put mute back on. And at this point, you can do some live mixing. So I'll push play, take the water level down. Because the alligators themselves have reverb on them, I'm going to add the reverb effect to the water level. So I still have it as a effect that I've saved. I'm going to do Command V. And pull it even lower. Now, one problem area, you see I've actually run out of the sound. The water just ends here. So what can I do? Well, if I have more water sound, I can definitely drag this out to fill it. But if I don't have more ambient sound and I need to recycle some ambient sound, one thing I can do is hold the Alt key, grab that clip, drag it, and then once I have these water sounds side by side, I can use audio transitions and simply crossfade them. So I'm going to use constant power, and within this space, this audio clip flows into this audio clip without any sort of spike or noticeable change in it. If you constantly recycle background sounds, it will be noticeable to the viewer, but in the case of this, it's really just a low ambient water sound. I don't think anybody would notice. Especially when it's mixed in with the alligator growls, and then lastly, we're going to put a little bit of music in there. I'm going to unmute it. The music will start really loud. Far too loud for these alligators. But if I pull it back,